All right, today we're doing another Ramsey Reacts. You all keep loving them, and we're going to keep doing them. And this one is the real reason the Fed keeps raising interest rates, which, John, this seemed kind of a topical thing to do
Yes, sir.
as they are basically continuing to do that. So, yeah, let's hit it.
If you continue raising interest rates as you plan, unemployment will be 4.6% by the end of the year, and that would be about 2 million people. If you could speak directly to the 2 million who you're planning to get fired over the next year, what would you say to them?
Inflation is extremely high, and it's hurting the working people of this country badly, all of them.
So, already, John, I'm curious because this is definitely, we've talked about this a lot outside of this show.
Yeah.
But, on the one hand, yeah, so you have interest rates, and that's tied to things like credit cards and housing. So, yeah, if you're having to pay your rent, for instance, or even just your grocery bills by a credit card, then that credit card bill is going up and up and up.
Right.
But on the other hand, the credit card bill is going up and up and up because of inflation.
Right.
So I don't envy Fed Chairman Jerome Powell.
Right.
But do you already kind of have a strong opinion on this? Has this already affected you in any way?
No, not really. But I mean, it's definitely. Are you saying like has interest rates going up affected me?
Yes, because obviously inflation's kind of infected everybody, or affected
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah. It hasn't really affected me, but it has took away that fever that you have like for buying your first home. It's kind of made me like really like consider other things, signing another year lease of renting. It's kind of made me back off of even really entertaining the home idea and not trying to over leverage myself. But other than that, I don't really think interest rates at this point has affected me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and it is one of these things where, because you're right. I mean, we both don't live in homes we own. Let's just
Right.
put that out there.
Yeah.
So it's hurting the housing market now,
Hmm.
but you could see that cutting down inflation there, and that's the kind of thing it's supposed to do. It's supposed to stop us from buying more.
Right.
Which,
Right.
again, if you're somebody that needs to,
Yeah.
I asked that question knowing that you're frankly better with your finances probably than even me. So I kind of didn't think it'd affect you as much.
Yeah.
I just had to do some car repairs and I had to put that on a card. So I'm already like, all right, pay that off,
Yeah.
because I just got a notification, that's going to raise some more. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was just curious your initial thoughts and kind of getting some disclosures out where we were
Right.
right at
Also
the top.
on I agree with both of their statements. I think they both make valid points. You know what I mean? Like Jerome Powell's trying to, like you said, calm down this inflation and not have it grow and actually bring it back down to 2%. So I understand where he's going with that. I
Hmm.
also understand where the lady is asking Jerome
Yeah,
Powell.
Senator Warren. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, is affecting people. Is that what you're trying to do? And do you have an explanation for it? Yada yada yada. So I also understand her argument. So it's kind of one of the, to me personally, hopefully no one hates on it, but it's kind of like a love-hate situation. Like, yes, I do agree. It is part of calming inflation. The job market does go down a little bit, but also, are we just gonna just keep printing money, and are we just gonna keep, like everyone living in la la land and just create
Yeah.
a big debt bubble, just so 2 million people don't get it out of work?
Yeah.
So to me, there's no right answer, honestly. But
Yeah.
I would hate to be one of those 2 million people, because then I'd have a strong agreement to be like, no, don't do it.
Sure,
But
sure. Yeah, you'd have a personal connection to it.
yeah, so I feel bad for I guess the 2 million people that are going to be affected by it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know
Well,
who that's going to be. Like, that's the problem.
yeah. Well, and the last thing I'll say, and this is kind of the difficulty again is there's a term politicians love to use, which is like, we're coming at this with a hatchet and we need a scalpel. And
Yeah.
basically it's, like this is something that has big effects when we're trying to make specific changes. But
Right.
basically it's like a seesaw. There's no way we can do just a little bit on this side without infecting that. So,
Right.
but yeah, I'm curious what they say. So we'll continue.
The only measures we have to bring inflation down.
And putting 2 million people out of work is just part of the cost, and they just have to bear it.
Will working people be better off if we just walk away from our jobs and inflation remains 5-6%?
There have been 12 times that we've seen a 1-point increase in the unemployment rate in a year. How many times did the economy fail to fall into a recession after doing that? Out of 12 times.
I think the number is 0.
I think the number is 0. That's exactly right.
Okay.
Out.
Oh, sorry, I'm cutting them off real fast, but I'm just going to be quick with this one.
Yeah.
So the numbers just came out, I think today or yesterday, that unemployment did start picking up. It's just a little bit. Nobody's worried yet, but just a little bit.
Right.
But okay.
So Elizabeth Warren bringing the heat, and this is where I'm shocked, but I actually agree with her. This is a situation where Jerome Powell, folks, has gone on record many times. You can get on the Google if you think I'm making this up. And he has said it is an unfortunate pain point that we're going to have to get to see unemployment go up. And his idea is if unemployment goes up because we are raising the cost of borrowing, raising the cost of doing business, that companies will lay people off. Now, we've seen big tech do that, and he's flirting with a recession because he's hoping that companies will lay people off. What happens then is the job demand goes down in his mind. And so now people aren't having to pay as much because he knows that wage pressures, Rachel, are causing inflation to be stubborn. But here's the challenge with what he said. It's not the only tool he has.
Agreed.
The Fed screwed this up. The Fed flushed too much money into the economy and got us to this point because they were worried about the pandemic. This is what happens when the federal government and the federal bank gets involved in the economy. He then says, ironically, would you have us do, Senator Warren? Walk away from our jobs? Yes, actually, I would like you, feckless Fed Chair Powell, to walk away and just let the economy figure it out.
Do its thing, yeah.
Here's why. Yes, inflation has made the household budget much higher. However, to force 2 million people or maybe more, because here's the deal. These are projections. We're at 3.4% unemployment right now, historic lows. If it gets pushed, and there are quotes where he said, Rachel, it may get to 6% unemployment, and that may be what it takes. So you're going to drive millions of people to unemployment, and you think that's going to fix it. Well, here's the issue. We've got 5 to 6 million jobs available right now.
That was my question.
I know, I'm paying it off. We've got 5 to 6 million jobs available right now in this economy. So if you drive them to unemployment, they're going to go get another job, and we're not going to fix it. And oh, by the way, let's step back, Rachel. Has the interest rate increase done anything to unemployment so far? No, it has not. He's been steadily raising the rates, and unemployment is still low.
It's still low because there's so many jobs.
So why does this matter to you folks who come to a money show? Because we have debt-free screamers every day on this show, every week, every month, and inflation isn't affecting them because they're not looking to DC and the Fed and interest rates. They're taking control of their money. So these headlines, and while it is painful, you can control your money no matter how expensive groceries are. You can actually control your future through your spending and your saving, and Ramsey Solutions and the Ramsey Show is here to help you do it. We don't care what Jerome Powell does at the end of the day because he doesn't have a freaking clue, and we are in control of our money. We got you. Don't worry about the headlines. This is the Ramsey Show.
I know. I definitely agree how he kind of ended that a little bit.
Yeah. Perhaps sales pitch aside.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was wondering because I still have some disagreements, but I wanted to let you go first because I knew you probably would have the most. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I really don't have a whole lot to say. I mean, regarding it, I think at the end of the day, whether Senator is right, whether the Dave Ramsey crew is right, whether Jerome Powell is right and everybody else is wrong. I think at the end of the day, whether you lose your job, whether interest rates go up, whether the job availability goes down, regardless what happens, I think the people that are going to really get bit are the ones that are over leveraged and we're swimming with no bathing suit.
Mm-hmm.
I just, at the end of the day, you can't really predict what they're going to do. You can't really predict on what these charts are going to say. You can't. And that's why I agree with you have to manage your money. So if you're highly in debt, you have a lot of money you owe on cars, you have a lot of money you owe on house, you have a lot of money you owe on student loans, you have all this stuff, that stuff is going to affect you whether you have a job or not. You know what I mean? So just control what you have. If you need to take a budget and eat different groceries, buy different foods, you can't really think about what they're doing. You have to understand what you have coming in and how you're spending it. And that rule always will apply to no matter what the economy's doing. And that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah. And actually, that's the part I 100% agree on. Really where I take issue, and it actually starts with a strong agreement too, is that the Fed doesn't only have the one tool. The Fed has just over the last, I'd say 50 years, only used that one tool.
Right.
And, to varying degrees of success, you could argue. It's always hard because it is so speculative. They make the changes. We don't live in an alternate multiverse, like Marvel, where you get to see what happens if we didn't do it.
Yeah.
But back in the day, I mean, like World War II, we had a lot of things, and we had some crazy stuff people aren't going to go with today.
Right.
There's a great podcast, Planet Money. They do a really good deep dive on all this stuff, and they talked about this very issue when the Fed started ramping up, the rates, and they talked about how rationing during World War II was a part of this, because if you control the supply, then there can only be so much demand. Again, I don't expect this America to go with that, nor am I pitching that. But that was one idea, and we have only pretty much ever used a second idea. There's no way there's not more ideas, and I don't even fully grasp the entire powers of the Fed and the Fed chairman. But I just think that a lot of what we do, like, I hope this mellows out. Again, I mentioned unemployment is up slightly. Again, you don't necessarily want that as an individual if you're unemployed, but like as a country, it could be better, as they argue. But I just think it's kind of a failure of imagination that we haven't figured out more that we can do.
Yeah.
And so, I guess that's where, again, sales pitch or not, that's where it does come down to, you just got to be prepared, especially people your age and my age. We've been through a lot. So,
yes, sir. I definitely agree with that.
But let us know. This is going to be a hot topic for a while. They've slowed down the interest rate escalation a little bit. They've signified they probably won't do it as much, but they haven't said they're going to stop. A lot of this is based on the numbers they see coming in.
They're not done unless we hit a recession.
Well, it's
they're going to crank that knob up, I promise.
Well, the idea there is that means they've failed because they've done it too much. It's the fill the bathtub, but you got to turn off the spigot at the right time, but you don't know. I don't know where that metaphor came from.
I guess I'm thinking that Jerome Powell will crank the knob up a little bit more unless we start to hit a recession, is what I should have said. I guess I said it kind of weird, but
well,
I don't think he's done, but I do agree. He has.
No, I mean, I get you, but again, like that would be failing. Even in Jerome Powell's mind, that would be failing in both Senator Warren and Jerome Powell's mind. But let us know what you think will happen, should happen. Leave a comment. We're very curious to hear from you. As always, like, comment, and subscribe.